Today, we're talking with Andrew. He's from the UK and he has recently received a payout from us from his 200K total account. In case you guys are new to the channel, Traders with Edge helps traders jump from being a part-time trader to a full-time pro trader. We do this by providing the support, the funding, and the education for traders to live life on their own terms. So it's nice to meet you.
Same here. It's been a while. Good to finally meet you.
First, we would love to hear a little bit about you and your trading journey. So how long have you been trading?
So I've been trading, believe it or not, coming up to about 10 years.
Yeah.
It's been a long couple of years for me. So I would say good 10 years. So a lot of experience.
Yeah, sounds like it. Have you been trading part-time or full-time for this period?
I would say the past 3.5 years has been full-time.
Wow. Yeah.
So apart from that, it's been probably about 5 years learning and really mastering one technique. And then that's what it's been. It's just been consistently doing the same thing over and over and over again for so many years.
Yeah, and I mean, I guess people are really looking for the thing that works for them. So I'm glad you did end up finding it.
Yeah, it's a lot of system hopping can be the failure of most people, and I didn't want to fall a trap into that, basically.
Did you study accounting or
No,
finance at school? No?
not at all. I have a technical background, so I actually design garments for a lot of the retailers on the high street. So that could be across America. I don't want to name any brands.
Of course.
UK, Australia, even across Europe, France, Germany. And so having a design background, I'm quite technical in that. And so I kind of found my little area in the technical space in terms of trading.
Sure. Then how did you get into trading?
It was actually a friend of mine. So while I was traveling out in Canton in China, and as you do on these business trips, one of them, just walking along the high street, and it was like, "Oh, have you heard of trading?" And I was like, "No." And he was like, "Well, I trade full time." And so he told me his story, and that was it. At that time, the big thing was binary trading, holding trades for like 5 minutes or 10 minutes, and you're a buy or a sell. And even that I found very complicated at that time. And so that's where it actually started off.
Sure. And then what made you stick around?
The complexity of it. And so that led me to stick around. And, at that time, it wasn't really that get rich quick type of mentality. We're talking here about 10 years ago, 10 years ago.
Yeah.
There wasn't really that many trading communities. You had some forums. And so, there were some successful traders there. And just looking at those results, I thought, yes, this is possible. And that's kind of led to where it was, really.
Well, I guess if there's anything different that you would like to do when you first started trading?
Keeping out of those groups. I think if I kept out of the forum groups, which what now we call the Telegram groups or the Discord groups, that was definitely something I should have done a lot earlier instead of doing it 3 years down the line, because it kind of wasted my 3 years down the line. It is difficult to find a trading system that works. They are out there. And it did take me, again, about 3 years to just stick to one trading method when I realized I'm just hopping around and I've got just to stick to one system. And that took me about 3 years to work out. I wish I did that in the first year, but in the first year, you're just about trying to work out what a trend line is.
Yeah, and you're busy trying to work your way through all of these groups, trying to figure out what's
Yes,
working.
exactly.
Yeah. So without giving us too much details, because I wouldn't want to pry into your trading. What kind of trader are you?
I'm more of a swing trader, and the reason is I deal with the higher time frames, the daily and the 4 hour. And I'm, just to give an overall perspective on it, I do multiple time frame divergence analysis, and I'm looking at key points in the market where the market has a potential to reverse. I'm not actually looking for that reversal. So, I've made a lot of failures waiting and the expectation that it will reverse at that key level of support resistance, especially on the higher time frame. So I wait for the reversal to happen, and then I hop on that trend once that trend has established, using the 4 hour as the baseline for it. And then I'll drill into the lower time frame, like the 5 minutes, or more recently now, the 30-minute time frame for my entry. So no longer do I need to go down to the 5 minutes or the 15 minutes. I can do everything from the 4 hour and the 30-minute chart. And I could potentially, with the time I've spent in the market, I can understand what's happening on the lower timeframes from the 30-minute timeframe analysis. So it's higher timeframe swing trading. Usually on average, if I enter the trade on a Monday, I potentially exit on a Friday. I don't like to hold the trades over, especially on the weekend.
Then how long, looking at the charts, spend trading a day?
I can quickly flick through most assets pretty quickly on the 4 hour. And so I then do my analysis. It takes me probably anywhere from about 10 to 20 minutes. I then do a selection that becomes 5 assets. And I do that GMT, usually about 10 o'clock, once the market is more settled and open for the next day. Then morning, I'll check those assets. If nothing's happened to what I need, I go relax for the rest of the day. I potentially take one trade a week. If I'm lucky, I don't trade. Again, if I'm lucky, I don't trade. Different mindset,
Yeah.
And if I do trade, sometimes if there are this trades potentially on a GBP CAD or AUD CAD, I would only take one on that trading account to diversify the risk.
Sure.
I wouldn't take both on that trading account.
And I mean, that's what really all traders want to get to at some point, where they don't have to make trades every day.
Yeah, it's very tough. I can understand. I remember when I first started trading, it was every minute I was trading. And I thought, this is a disaster. How can you keep up? It's tough. I really understand the pressure as well that's out there.
Definitely. Speaking of pressure, have you ever blown up any of your accounts?
A lot. A fair amount. Live funds, especially because we didn't, prop firms weren't a thing at that time,
Yeah.
FTMO, my Forex funds was probably non-existent at that time. So it was live funds, and that was hard. So, we're quite lucky now to have these firms in place to help us, guide us on that path, because it does teach you good risk management, good trading skills, which you don't really obey on your live accounts. So blowing accounts was definitely part of the game at that time,
Yeah, definitely. Is there anything specific that you learned from blowing up these funds?
Yes, but I never even followed them. So every time I knew what I was doing wrong, I knew I was overtrading, I knew I wasn't sticking to the rules, I knew I was over leveraging on accounts, and I'll write everything down, but just never fulfilling those rules, and that takes time and skill And now I'm such a complete different person. Look at the charts, doesn't meet my criteria. I could enter the same night. It doesn't even waste my time anymore. I go to sleep, wake up, recheck it. Does it meet the criteria? Yes, no, move on. And I keep it so straightforward because I know the damage it can cause.
Yeah, just don't think
Mindset
about
issue.
them. Yeah, definitely. Is there anything specifically in place that helps you keep these rules?
I think now I've become so systematic, I don't even realize it. And I think it's first of all having the eye to spot the opportunities and understanding what an opportunity is, and if the trading strategy meets that criteria. And then it's actually fulfilling that, and that's when your psychological aspect comes into mind. And then even when you're on that trade, do I move the stop? Do I do this? Do I do that? Like, if you really need to have an end-to-end strategy, and once you go through that consistently, month after year, in my case, years, it becomes embedded in your system.
Sure.
And some people take longer to do that, and it obviously did for me. But it's not an issue for me. I don't mind that it's taken me so long to get to that point, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, you've reached the point now where you can trade freely and without all the stress. Are there any golden rules or disciplines that you live by?
Golden rules is always stick to your strategy. And if there are opportunities that you see, just create another strategy for it. It's so easy to be distracted, especially in today's environment. I actually find it more difficult because of so many groups and being influenced by so much that's out there.
Yeah.
So I know it's really hard, and it's just about finding your way, which is hard to achieve, especially with information overload.
Yeah. I feel like it's just human psychology. It's very easy to say, but very hard to live by.
It's so hard, honestly, extremely hard.
Yeah.
And honestly, even a simple strategy can be successful. You know, even trading 3 moving averages can be successful if you stick to the rules, and you have, good risk management, a good, understanding of where you're taking your profit, how you're managing that trade. A lot of it is almost not so much about the actual trading, entering. There's so many components.
So how long did it take you to get from a challenge account to a funded account?
So it actually did take me probably, I think, I have several. So with the hare and the turtle, it probably actually took me, I'd say, about a month, at that time, just off the top of my head. And it also depends on, for example, if you do enter a trade and you're swing trading it, if that hits your stop loss, I could potentially looking for another week to 2 weeks for another entry, or a week. So that does put a timeline on it as well. So I tend to wait for NFP to be over and then start the accounts.
Fair enough. Were you able to pass them in one go, or did you fail a couple on the way?
With actually the hare and the turtle, I was actually okay, but there have been instances with other firms, even since I have been doing them, probably about 4 years. So, it's a lot of fails. It's not that straightforward, and that the timeline does get you, on when you have a set number of days and the time is ticking, and if you're in 1% drawdown, or you're only 3% up on the account, and you've got 5 trading days left, that can lead to bad trading habits. That time is like a ticking time bomb.
Yeah. It comes back
Yeah.
to the human psychology. So why did you decide to become a funded trader instead of using your own funds?
So the flexibility of being able to risk across other funded accounts is fantastic. I could trade my own personal funds as I do, but being able to mix that with funded accounts and potentially take, instead of, I could risk 1% on my personal account and take that other percent on the funded account. So that gives me an overall of 2% risk across two different accounts, but it's only 1% risk on my account and 1% risk on the funded account. So it's basically just management of risk and to diversify the assets when I do need to diversify.
Yeah, and I think that's a great way of thinking about it. People usually think of these accounts as a way to, get funded without risking your own money, stuff like that. But looking at it at a way where it's a way to diversify your risk, I think that's really, really a great outlook on how you can use these prop firms out there. So how has your experience been with Traders with Edge?
So it's been pretty smooth, straight from the challenge accounts. Everything is pretty much automated once you pass the phase 1 into phase 2, the verification of the documentation. Then anything from, if I did need, I think it was from like KYC, just reached out to support, and they're always on board with the live chat, managed to have that resolved pretty quick. On the live accounts, the hare and the turtle, not had any issues whatsoever. And even with Payout, pretty quick. So within a couple of days, 5 business working days was quite straightforward. So, it's been hassle-free, almost you have no reason to even reach out to support.
I'm glad you've been having good experience with us. Do you have any words of advice for traders who would want to become funded with Traders with Edge?
Stick to your trading rules. Once you do have a trading strategy, stick to them. I honestly think if you are consistently, with a strong mindset, you will get through your challenge accounts into funded. So I don't think it's any issues at all.
Do you have any goals that you're working towards? Something that you would want to achieve maybe over the next 12 months?
Potentially get a couple more funded accounts. That's the idea. So in January, first quarter, start looking at redoing those challenges and just building up the portfolio and just trying to increase that equity. It just means that I can still risk 1% and still have, potential of having greater returns. And that's the objective, and also increasing my own funds. It's nice to be able to take withdrawal and deposit that into your funded account, your own live broker account.
Definitely. Would you, for instance, merge these accounts later on, or would you want to have them as separate accounts?
Potentially just for being able to manage the work environment in my headspace. It's easier to merged accounts. I did look at the options of doing separate accounts and trading the different assets across them. So keep indices to one account and keep the Forex pairs to the other account. So there was that opportunity for me to consider, but I just think it could make things a little bit more overwhelming. And I think you're trying to simplify things as much as possible, to be honest.
Definitely. Do you have any final words for someone who's looking to become a trader at Traders with Edge?
Keep to your rules. Don't listen to what anybody else is doing. And just focus on what works for you and improving that strategy. And just building on that mindset. That's really important. Really, really important.
Awesome.
With Instagram groups, posting all these, luxury items, look what I've done, look what I did, and this, that. And in Telegram, people posting results. And this is why I don't like to post results, because you never understand the real timeline of that account. You just see the snapshot of that trade.
Yeah. You see the success of the trade.
Yeah. And not the, the ups and downs
The
of it.
emotional roller coaster that comes with it.
And I did that actually with the hair account. You could see it was a decline, downwards decline.
I think I did see it actually.
It was a downward slope, and I thought I knew that I wasn't focused. I thought, right, this has to change.
Well, thank you for giving us the time to interview you and for the great interview. And I'm sure it's going to help a lot of traders out there.
Thanks very much, and thank you for your time.